Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Ed Orasi. Thanks for being on the show, Ed.
Thanks, Whitney. Thank you for having me.
Now, I'm honored to have you here. And a little about Ed. As a child, he drove around with his mom looking for properties to buy and collect rents, always studying the market and finding the diamonds in the rough. In 2003, he officially got licensed in Miami and became the top producer at the brokerage within his first year. In 2011, he got licensed in Las Vegas, and in 2017, he became the commercial director at Keller Williams, the marketplace. In 2018, he opened a mega agent office in downtown Las Vegas and is currently working on a 160-unit condo project. So, Ed, thank you again so much for your time today, and I just appreciate the value that you're fixing to bring, and I know you're going to just from our conversation and what I know about you so far. But give the listeners a little more about who you are, where you're located, and what your focus is.
Okay, so again, I got licensed in 2003 in Miami due to family reasons, and we moved over to Las Vegas to be closer to my in-law. My mother-in-law who was getting sick and stuff, so we moved over here. I got licensed over here. Joined the team for a couple of years while I learned the Vegas business because I knew Miami business. So I wanted to know Vegas a little better. And in 2015, went out on my own. 2017 became the commercial director. And now my focus is mainly multifamily and developments. My real estate team does do residential and smaller units.
Nice. Okay. So, I mean, you've been in the real estate industry for a good while now. You've had some success, and you've pushed obviously to become the top agent. Is that right? They're top.
Yeah,
producer?
Yep.
Yeah. So
I'm the top agents in our office at this point, and like I said, we have one of the benefits of being a top producer in your market center. If you hit a certain number in revenue, you get to open up your own office. So rather than just speak about investing, we actually bought the building where we're in now. So we also are investors, and we're also in the market to always invest and look for opportunities.
Nice. So, I'd love for us to talk about the 160 unit project that you and I discussed a little bit. And I don't know many developers, many people that are developing deals in Vegas. So this is a great opportunity. And but could you give us some details about that project, maybe early on, and what the plan is, and we'll dig in a little bit.
Okay, so I had a group of developers from California looking for an opportunity here in Vegas. So right now in Vegas, the up and coming area is the southwest part of Vegas. We found a tract behind a development that sells for about $600,000 a unit. We found a 5-acre tract that was entitled to build 160 condos on it. So we're building actually 160 condos. 109 are going to be 2 bedrooms, 41 1 bedrooms, and then 10 2-story, all glass, enclosed 3-bedroom units overlooking the Strip. They have a direct view of the Strip, the new Raider Stadium, and we're taking this development from the dirt all the way up. So it's been a little challenging because it's a new venture for me as far as the development world. I know the multifamily world, but I definitely am learning as we go on this part of it.
Yeah. So, what are some of those challenges that you faced, going from multifamily to developing a project like this?
Well, the challenges are that you have to surround yourself with a good team. I think in anything that you do in real estate, whether it's investing, whether it's learning, it's surround yourself with a good team. So some of the jargon and some of the conversations we have with the developer himself, with the architect, with the contractor, you're finding out, like, for instance, one thing I didn't even know existed was wraparound insurance. Wraparound insurance is what the contractors require on a development that's condos, not apartments, because it covers them for all the units for an insurance policy for 10 years.
Wow. So wraparound insurance. Anything I hadn't heard of that before. Anything else about wraparound insurance that that we need to know, or and tell me again why that's important.
Well, wraparound insurance, when a contractor is building apartments, it's one owner that owns all of the apartments. So if there's a claim, you deal with one owner. When you build 160 condos and they're all individually sold, now you're dealing with 160 owners. So the wraparound insurance is an insurance policy that covers any construction defect for the first 10 years of the project. So it's important, if they were building an apartment complex, you'll never hear about that and they'll never ask for that. It's only on the condos because the liability is much higher, because now you're 60 potential owners.
Wow. Okay. And that's a great piece of information there that I wouldn't have known, otherwise, to ask you about. So I appreciate that. And, what are any other challenges that we can elaborate on that you've experienced going from multifamily to development?
Yeah. The biggest in getting the right, like I said, the right team in place. Because there's things that come up that we take for granted as investors and as people that look at real estate is, well, now you're putting in a project of 160 units. Well, now, is there enough electricity? Is there enough water coming in? Is there enough sewer? And if not, how much is it going to cost to change that infrastructure now so that you can actually build those units there? And the same thing goes with multifamily. Sometimes you start remodeling multifamily units and you have enough power if you're adding units, if you're doing certain things. So it's things that we take for granted that you have to dive deep into and try to get the answers to before you start.
Okay. So, yeah. So, having the right team, it doesn't matter what kind of business it is. It's so important, right? Our team is just crucial. I couldn't do any of this without them. And so, as far as the, like local governments or permits, anything like that you've learned, or anything that's going to be different maybe in Vegas that we should know about?
Yes. So, the permitting process in Vegas is you'll get your plans ready for construction. You submit them. Then it goes to like an advisory board. They now look at it and then they start going to the individual departments. So the key is to have the architect that has connections within the city to speed up the process. Like right now in Vegas, permits are about 6 months out. So it's quite an undertaking to get it to permits. And if they return it, you're looking at another 6 months, because they don't start where you left off. You start all over again. So having the right architect, contractors that know the city, that know kind of what they're looking for, they can anticipate any changes, any issues that are coming up. Simple rules, like now they've changed the rules in the city of Las Vegas where now they want sprinkler systems in the units. So we have to make sure that those are already built into the plans. If not, that's going to start all over again.
Wow. So, so it takes 6 months, and then if you don't get it correct, then another 6 months. That's, my goodness, you better have somebody on your team that's done this before.
Exactly. So the architect we use has been in Vegas doing this type of construction for 30 years. The builder we're using has recently just completed a 200 unit building. Some of the challenges with the building that we're doing is there's going to be some underground parking because it's so hot in Vegas. So we're doing some underground parking because of the size limitation. So the structure and there's caliche underground. So how much caliche, how deep do you have to go? So
what is that? What is that underground?
Caliche. So it's a type of rock that's very, very dense, very hard to go through. So it has different grades. So depending on the grade, it's either easy to get out or very difficult to get out. So those are some of the challenges also, is having the right team that knows, okay, this is what we have underground. This is what we can anticipate. This is how far I think we can go down without running into any issues. So those are all the issues that come up when you're doing the development.
Okay. Yeah. So even the rock, even things like that, if you're not experienced in this, there's no way that you're going to know that. And even experienced in that specific area of the country, or, Vegas, I'm not sure how far, where all this rock is, but if you didn't know that, that could lead into some big problems or setbacks.
Oh, definitely. And since Vegas is actually in a valley, there's rock everywhere around us. So the contractor that we're using and the architect, they know where the pockets of the tougher caliche is, and they can almost tell you by the street, like, oh, from this street, stay over to the west of that because that's where it is, or on the east of that is going to be okay. So those are some of the challenges that we come up with all the time.
So how long will it take to complete this project?
It's a 24-month project, start to finish. We're currently in the process with acquiring the land and going through our due diligence on the land. Due diligence is the most important in every real estate transaction, is making sure you get what they say you're going to get.
So during that due diligence, of the land, that is so important, right? So that's where you're going to be looking at that zoning and the permits and the rock and all those things you're discussing, right? So that way, when we do move forward with this, we're ready to go.
Right. We're looking at so part of our due diligence, we're looking at the land itself. What's on there. We're doing this phase 1 environmental, phase 2 environmental, making sure we have the environmental studies that we need. We're looking at the traffic study, because that's going to impact how many entrances and what if you have to have any turnoffs for the particular subdivision or the condo units. We're looking at the power grid. We're looking at water. We're actually checking with the neighbors, because it is near a residential, to make sure they're going to not try to block this project. So there's quite a bit that goes on during the due diligence period.
So what are you looking for in a traffic study, and do you hire somebody to do that? How do you do that?
Yes, you hire somebody to do a traffic study. There's several companies that do that here in Vegas. And what we're looking for is how much, based on what's the density makeup of the neighborhood, and how many cars travel, how wide is the street going to be? Is there any provisions in the future for the street to get wider? To maybe, instead of having a 2-lane, make it a 4-lane street. Because what's going to happen is we're going to add with 160 units, anywhere from 160 potential to 320 potential vehicles now traveling that road all the time. So what does that do for the rest of the neighborhood? What is the impact on traffic for schools, the need for schools in that area as well? So it does all of that, encompasses everything that we need to know about the actual demographics of the area.
And you mentioned power grid. What are you referring to there, and what do I need to know about that?
Okay, so the power grid is basically what the power company has already allotted for power in that area. So based on the makeup of the land, when the power companies are setting up their power for that area, they know how many transformers they're going to need, what size transformers, and how much power they're going to have coming into there based on the area. So now adding 160 units, 3 pools, some other areas that we're going to have in their entertainment areas in the complex, how much power are we going to be needing? Do they have enough, or do we have to now pay to upgrade the power in the neighborhood so that we can substantiate the power that we're going to be needing?
That's probably not a small task.
No, that's a expensive task to get done, and very difficult, because we got to just make sure you got to kind of have an idea of what you're building and how much power everything's going to take to make sure we can run it, because you don't want to build a building and then not have enough power.
Do you know yet if you're gonna have to do that or not, if there is enough power already?
We are going to have to upgrade the power. We've already found that out. Upwards between $500,000 to $750,000 to up the power in the neighborhood.
Okay, and the deal's still worth it. It's still worth it even with that expense.
Yeah. Because so we figured our numbers. What we did is we ran our numbers based on what we think that the units are going to be sold for, what the construction cost is. And then there's about a 10 to 15% just in case fund that we have in there to just see, okay, if we have to do this, if we have to do that, if we don't, great. But if we do, we have the money for that.
Nice. There's always stuff that you just cannot plan for, isn't there? There's always something that comes up. So you better plan for the unexpected, right?
Yeah. In real estate, every transaction, whether it's a residential purchase, a multifamily, a development, there's always things that you didn't think about. It just always is. No matter how experienced you are as an investor, something always slips by. So you always have to have a just in case fund.
So, how did the power or the traffic study turn out? I meant to ask you about that as well.
They're still working on it. We may have to have a couple of turnoffs based on what we're looking at now, because they are developing. One of the I don't know if it's a disadvantage or advantage of being one of the first large developments in that area is, yes, you're the first large development, but some of the stuff you're going to have to take on as the developer. So you're going to have to try to widen the roads, have some extra exits off of the main road into your development, because you have a lot of traffic, and you can't hold up traffic if you have a gate and you're waiting for people to get in a gate. So things of that nature, but it's looking like we're going to.
Nice. So, yeah, and you also mentioned this third thing was preparing the neighbors. Or we just talked about preparing the neighborhood or asking the neighborhood questions. And I'd like for you to talk about that a little bit. What's that process look like, and even the response that you had?
Okay, so the process looks of holding town meetings and talking to the neighbors and saying, look, we're going to build this here. We have the permission from the county, but we want to get buy-in from you as the neighbors. We don't want you to, all of a sudden start selling your houses super cheap to get out of the neighborhood. You don't want to because you don't want this cart. So one of the things we did is on the front side that we are actually facing the Strip and the new Raider Stadium out here. That's going up 4 stories, and then the 10 penthouses are going to be 5 stories. On the back side, we've gone up 3 stories, and and we're going to build up the fence on the other side, so that the people on the 3rd floor can't see into the backyards of the single family homes behind us. So it's kind of reaching a middle ground, saying, hey, we're not here just to start building, and we don't care about your opinion. Your opinion's important. What can we do to make you feel comfortable in this development?
And how was that received, and what kind of responses did you get?
Their main concern originally was building up 5 stories overlooking, because then it doesn't really matter what they have. They have a pool or whatever, you're going to be right over them. So the happy medium, getting to 3 stories and then having the balconies have a lip as well, so you're not just looking right into the backyard. They were very, very happy that we came to an agreement on that.
Okay. Any other issues that came up, like with the neighborhood or the neighbors that that they were concerned about, or could have even stopped the project that you all had to overcome?
No, the largest one was that they just didn't want us looking into their backyards because of privacy. But, especially if you have a pool on that back fence line right where our condos are, you really don't want to have condos looking over. And they were concerned about it being a more luxury type product, because they didn't want just apartment buildings and people coming and going all the time. So they were concerned about that. So they kind of wanted to see what we were looking at building. So we actually had to build a model for it. So we built a model for it, showed them what it's going to look like, and and we've been working with them closely to make sure that everybody's on the same page and everybody's happy about what's going up there.
So, 24 months to finish the project, is that, till it's completed? And then, how long after that do you plan to have the units sold, and how long do you think that will take?
Well, we've started doing pre-selling. So we've already got a wait list of 60 people
Wow.
that are going to purchase. And we haven't done a lot of advertising. We've come out in a small magazine locally in town, and just having people register through a website. So we're anticipating that we'll be sold out of the 160 units because we're going to start selling once we get the permits pulled. Once the permits are pulled, construction starts is when we'll actually start putting contracts on the units, and we're anticipating to have them sold within 6 months.
Wow. 6 months from like now, or 6 months from the time that the properties are complete?
No, 6 months from the time that we get our permits. So we're about 6 months away from permits.
Okay.
So we'll be able to sell them, and then in 18 months, when they close after the first 6 months, they'll be ready to go, and they'll be ready to move in.
So that's impressive that you'll have them sold, long before they're completed, and, things like that. So, but now that what from your experience with multifamily, and now that you're doing you're beginning this large development project, what's going to be your line of focus going forward, or can you see doing both asset classes, or do you have, one that you prefer over the other?
I can see continuing to do the development family. Because most of what we're developing is going to be multi-type. So it's going to be either condos or apartment buildings. So we're definitely going to stay along that line. I love the multifamily niche product. I love seeing people start getting into from 4 units into 6 units into 10 units and start growing their portfolio and doing that. So yeah, I love the multifamily unit.
What's really been your the most difficult part of the syndication process for you so far?
Getting everybody to understand that when you're moving from residential into multifamily, it's tough. It's a different animal. So there's things that on the single family side that happens all the time. you have an investor that buys one house, rents it out, or his primary house buys a new one, rents their house out. So now they're an investor. They have a property. They self-manage it. Maybe there's not a lease in place. Maybe it's a different way to run a business. When you start getting into multifamily, 7 units, 10 units, then you get investors that are looking to purchase those in opportunity zones. They know what their return is going to be. So what they're looking for, something simple like a trailing 12-month of the property. Most residential investors don't carry that. How long are the leases? What do the leases look like? What are the increments that the increase are going to happen year over year? That's what investors and commercial investors are looking for, where residential investors really aren't paying that much attention to that part of it. So I try to partner them up and try to help them find somebody that can help them in that realm, that knows the multifamily and knows the commercial, at least for the first couple of transactions, because it's so much easier if somebody knows that and understands that particular field versus a residential agent.
Interesting. No, it's smart. I mean, it's all about education, right? Educating our investors. So what's a way that you all have recently improved your syndication business that we could apply to ours?
So we hold monthly meetings with our different partners, where we're showing them what is available. And I'm starting to do online videos on purchasing and how to purchase and what are the steps, step by step, to try to get more people in the real estate. I mean, real estate is I've been in it for 15 years. So I've been in it through the high, through the low, through the high, through the shift, through whatever you want to call it. I've been in it. And real estate's great because you can only make so much real estate. You can't make more, but you can't just say, well, there's an ocean there, let me just make land and all of a sudden start building it. So we try to hold monthly meetings to try to get people to network, meet each other, and hopefully put together some deals.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, monthly meetings. It's important that we're getting together with our team, right? And so what is your best advice for taking care of investors?
Number one, always make sure that you give them the correct information and be the source of the source. So don't try to be the smartest guy in the room, which I never try to do. I always make sure I have somebody else that's advising me, that I can say, okay, this is what I think, but let's talk to this person. Let's talk, if we're talking about something about structure, let me talk to a structure guy. I'm not going to sit here and give you advice on something that I don't know. Let me find somebody who's smarter, better, and specialized in that area. So that way we're all comfortable going forward.
Nice. And Ed, what's one thing that's contributed to your success?
Just tenacity. Just keep going. Because real estate deals some are going to make a lot of money. Some are going to make no money. Some are going to just break even. But just keep going. And then never risk. I'm a firm believer, never risk money unless you are comfortable going forward, that you know what the outcome's going to be. So, like I said, we're doing the due diligence period. So I always stack my deals so where I have enough due diligence to make sure we get everything we need prior to money going hard. Because sometimes people are fall in love with a property and maybe it's not the right property.
Yeah, can't get emotional about it, right?
No, you can't. You have to just move forward and make sure that you're looking at all of the possibilities. And as long as we do that, I think everything works itself out.
Well, Ed, you've been a great guest, and I've really enjoyed learning about this development project and different things that you've learned, really, of the challenges that you've had through that process. But before we have to go, tell the listeners how you like to give back.
So we give back several ways. So we give back to our community based on per transaction. So we give back to 5 organizations every single time. We also volunteer our time. We are Tocqueville members of the United Way. And we also give to St. Jude's, Wounded Warriors. We pretty much run the gambit. We do a pop-up that they do here in Vegas for the homeless, feeding the homeless once a month. Our whole team goes out there and participates once a month, helping feed the homeless.
Wow. And tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you and learn more about your business.
Well, if you'd like to get a hold of me, you can always go to at Orasi Group, which is ORASI, or give us a call at 702-860-7087.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by Life Bridge Capital. Life Bridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. Life Bridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.